To start off the week, the Kansas City Chiefs made two practice squad moves, and one, to say the least, is very intriguing. And we're going to dive into all that, as well as I'm going to dive into this running back rotation heading into this week and to finish off the season. But before we get into all of this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. So coming into today, I really wanted to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs running back rotation and focus on basically the new three-headed monster we have in Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, and Ronald Jones, and how those touches should be spread out throughout the years going into this playoff stretch, and if CEH will be a factor down the line in the playoffs. And today, we got a wrinkle, maybe a big wrinkle. We don't know how it's going to shape up, how it's going to pan out. But today, the Kansas City Chiefs signed Melvin Gordon to the practice squad. And my first initial reaction off of that is very confused, to say the least, because I do not know what it is with the Kansas City Chiefs and running backs, but if you're a veteran running back, you might as well be a Kansas City Chief. They have done this year in and year out. They bring in guys like Shady McCoy, Le'Veon Bell. There's guys that have good careers, and they come to Kansas City, and now Melvin Gordon is the next man up too. And now it just has me thinking in depth on all this. I know a lot of people took to social media and they were just thinking, wow, does that mean Melvin Gordon's going to get playing time right away? And I'm going to put a pause on that, because I don't think that's the case. Right now, my initial reaction, well, there's kind of two that will go into this. And it's Melvin Gordon, I think, is going to be your insurance policy. And also, you got to realize, even on the practice squad as well, as we got Wayne Gallman, who I thought was a very good, if not decent, running back for the Giants. And he had production too. And I think if you put him in this offense, if it was a next man up type of thing, I think he would produce as well. So to have Melvin Gordon is, again, very, very confusing to me, because this running back depth just keeps getting deeper. But my main thing is, I just think he's an insurance policy. I think for the likes of, if someone gets injured, we already have CEH on IR right now too, so if someone else gets injured, at least you got that veteran presence you can call up. And then I think it puts huge question marks on Clyde Edwards-Helaire too. I already have huge question marks if he's going to be on the team next season. We can leave that up for debate. I know probably 90% of Chiefs Kingdom is saying he's not coming back, but you just never know how the cards may fold. But it lets me lead to, will he play again this year? Like, is this injury more severe than what we are thinking? Because right now we just know it as a high ankle sprain. And usually with high ankle sprains, they can take a good amount of time. Right now he's on IR, so he'll miss the first 4 weeks. But high ankle sprains can last 6 to 8 weeks. So does that mean maybe Melvin Gordon is a long-term answer for the rest of this season and not Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I don't know, but it definitely has those question marks floating everywhere to say, man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire might have played his last snap this year, and maybe his last snap as a Kansas City Chief. Now, I'm not as intrigued or as excited as a lot of Chiefs Kingdom is about this player and Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, as I mentioned, he has had an interesting career, to say the least. I remember when he first came out of the draft, I thought he was the baby Jamal Charles, and I thought we should go after him and basically be the next upcoming great KC running back. Then he happened to get drafted by the Chargers. I think he's only had 1,000 yard rushing season, but he's been close plenty of times as well, which was kind of surprising to me, because I know he's been productive. But I thought he had way more than 1,000 yard rushing season. The thing that got him out of Denver, which most of us knows, is he's had fumbling issues. And out of his last 115 snaps, he's fumbled the ball 5 times, which is way too much for my liking. Now again, when you have a new scenery, you can play different too. So he could basically turn to his old self and be a very good running back. I'd have to go look at the stats with the Chargers and see if he had a fumbling problem back then. I can't really speak on that. I don't know if this is just a Denver thing, but even in Denver, he showed that he still got that explosion. I think, I don't want to go that far, because Isaiah Pacheco is pretty explosive, but he's probably up there with Pacheco as it comes in burst too. So if he happens to get his number called, he might be an interesting piece in this backfield. I just don't expect much, and I think Chiefs Kingdom shouldn't either unless someone gets hurt. Knock on wood on that too, because right now I really love the rotation we have coming right now, and I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to go from 3 to 1. That means we're going to start off with Ronald Jones at this point. And Ronald Jones, for his first game coming in, I thought he looked very impressive. Now, the stats were basically, what's the word? See, I'm already struggling on words, but the stats were basically inflated there. That's what we'll say. Because he didn't have that many carries, but he averaged 7 yards a rush. So it makes it look like he had an amazing game. And the one thing that really caught my eye, which I was very impressed, and I mentioned it in my instant reaction too, was his screen catch he had. That's something he lacks, and they say, is he's not a receiving back, but he was sure-handed on that play, and he took it upfield for 22 yards. I did notice that he was rushing with a sense of urgency. He was rushing like he wanted to be on the field, and that's what we should expect too, because with the Twitter ramblings in prior weeks and him basically, I guess, kind of demanding his trade or release so he can get more playing time, and now that the time has come, you should expect him to go as hard as he can. Again, he looked, I hate to say it after one game. I really do, because I am a big CEH supporter. He has scored a lot of red zone touchdowns for us this year, which is what we struggled in last week, and that's going to be a tell of the tape too moving forward. If Kansas City continues to struggle in the red zone, you're already missing 2 key red zone pieces that Chiefs Kingdom doesn't really like too much in a CEH and McCole Hardman. If you combine both of those guys, they have double-digit red zone touchdowns. So that is a huge missing component in this offense, and Kansas City is going to have to find an extra key component in the red zone if they need touchdowns, and one of these guys are going to have to step up. It can happen. There's weapons all around this offense. But at the end of the day, we got to stop shorthanding CEH and stop shorthanding McCole Hardman. I know at the end of the day they were high draft picks and we expect more production, but they give us production and they give us touchdowns too. And you saw last week, Kansas City was missing it. So we'll see what Ronald Jones can come in moving forward. I did love the burst he brought. I did love kind of the power he brought too. His game is way different than a CEH. And if he can keep building on it week in and week out and throughout 4 weeks while CEH is on IR, again, it makes it look really iffy for CEH when he comes back. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how these pieces fall into place once we get into the playoff stretch and once these pieces start getting healthy. So it's going to be very, very fun to see moving forward. And then the guy that I love to talk about the most, not Isaiah Pacheco, I think our full, complete running back in Jerick McKinnon. Everybody loves him. He is basically your security blanket for Mahomes on third down. He's explosive. He's a power runner. He's your best sure-handed back there. He definitely deserves to see snaps, and I hope he can stay healthy. I think this is his first season in a long, long time where he has managed to stay healthy throughout the year. Now, that could be with basically managing the snaps for him, which at this point of his career, he's over 30, is something you need to do. So that's why the snap count and this running back rotation might work handily perfectly for him, because he doesn't need to see the ball 20 to 30 times a game. But if you can get 5 to 10 to 15 snaps to Jerick McKinnon, he's going to pop one, and he's going to basically remind everyone why he deserves a role on this team. And now, the grown man himself in Isaiah Pacheco. This kid, I think every game he needs to see no less than 15 carries, 15 touches, what it may be. He's going to control the Kansas City Chiefs run game going forward. He's going to be your power back. He's going to be your speed back. He could be your receiving back. He's going to be the one to move the chains. I'm really heavily believing in him moving forward. I have question marks if he's still our running back of the future, but he could change my mind in the whole month of December and January. That's the month where it's ground and pound and it's run yourself into the playoffs and prove you are more physical than any other team. And if anyone can do it, it's Isaiah Pacheco. This kid has a magnificent story. I am so excited for him. Who would have thought when a 7th round pick coming in and he said he was going to take a grown man's job. I thought he was just talking about the likes of like a Derek Gore or a Ronald Jones. Now he's your running back number one, and now he's fighting to get a really, really good year and maybe even consideration for Rookie of the Year. I might be smoking on some good stuff, but he has potential to be really good and have a really bright future in Kansas City. The month of December can be his, and that playoff stretch can be his. It's going to be exciting to see, but I'm on that hype train for Isaiah Pacheco, and it's going to be so fun to watch if Kansas City feeds him the ball correctly. There's a way to feed these three running backs moving forward. Kansas City will have to find a way to basically pick and choose who they want in the lineup like they've been doing. As of late, it's been working. Have I been 100% of a fan on the rotation? No, but if it's working, I will be all aboard that train. Now, the final piece to this, because yes, CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, can still be something in this offense, but it depends on what these three running backs are going to do moving forward. If all three of these guys have production, like I mentioned, it might be very, very difficult for CEH to see the field. But if somewhere down the line someone stumbles and CEH gets on the field, CEH is going to have to be the best back we have seen, like rookie year CEH or even earlier this year CEH. He's going to have to show he's a receiving asset, that he can run in between the tackles. He's basically going to be fighting for his life, not in the NFL, but in Kansas City, because he will definitely find another team. But it's just crazy what this running back committee is looking like now. Coming into the year, we didn't even know if we had one back. Now this room is so loaded that we have four backs going to be fighting for touches when CEH comes back. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. I still wish nothing for the best from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. As you guys noticed from this offseason, I've been a huge, huge supporter. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at the way the cards are falling right now, and it's just looking very, very unfortunate for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This is Isaiah Pacheco's job to lose, and I don't think he's going to give it up easily. So it's the next man up, and it's going to be between Jerick McKinnon, Ronald Jones. Melvin Gordon's now in that committee, and now you got to see when CEH comes back what is going to happen. But this is all going to be very interesting on how it unfolds through this playoff stretch. I know I'm excited. I know Chiefs Kingdom, you are excited as well. So let's just see how this all pans out. And now to close this video off, we did have one more roster acquisition on the practice squad. It is no other than former Las Vegas Raider Bryan Edwards. Now the name may sound very familiar. It's familiar to me and rang a bell because Raider Nation was raving about this kid, that he was the next Terrell Owens. His athleticism was off the chart, and he was going to be the next stud receiver. And it just didn't so happen to be with the Raiders. He was also with the Falcons this year, and nothing amounted to much either. This is a very, very intriguing piece to me as well. Honestly, I'm liking this practice squad move more than Melvin Gordon. It's depth at the wide receiver nonetheless, and if he happens to get onto the active roster, he might be able to etch out a role maybe to 5 to 10 snaps in this offense. And if he can show his athleticism and basically build some chemistry with Mahomes too, that's just another target for Mahomes. Mahomes has shown he loves to spread the ball wherever, whenever. If you're open, you're going to get your hand in the pot and you're going to make a play too. If Bryan Edwards can learn the scheme, learn the system quickly, he might see some playing time. But also too, focus on this as more of a long-term thing. You know, once the month of January comes, those future reserve contracts start coming, and Bryan Edwards can easily be one of those moving into next season too, and he would get a jump start ahead of a lot of people on those future reserves, and then learn the whole playbook throughout the offseason, and then maybe be an interesting piece in this wide receiver room in 2023. I don't expect much from him, but this was definitely an interesting piece that the Kansas City did bring along, and I think it's someone that, hey, if you get more athleticism on your practice squad and more depth and more veteran presence, I'm all for it. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, you let me know how you're thinking about this running back room. Melvin Gordon is now a part of it. Do you think the move was interesting? Do you like it? Do you not? I don't know. I'm indifferent. Right now, I am fully bought into Isaiah Pacheco. You let me know who is your favorite running back on the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll have fun. We'll discuss it. Leave a comment down below. And if you did like the video, please leave that big thumbs up for me. I am checking out. Y'all take care. Peace.